Did you know research consistently shows that career dissatisfaction peaks between 35 to 45 years? Did you know, on average, professionals change careers, not just jobs, 2 to 3 times in their lifetime? Fun fact: the first major reset often happens after 10 to 15 years of experience when identity and values evolve. Did you know mid career professionals report higher burnout than early career employees? Did you know studies in organizational psychology show that after a certain income level, meaning, autonomy, and growth matter more than salary? Interesting fact: professionals who reset careers are more likely to invest in certifications, reskilling, and mentoring. Did you know that early career title is your identity, and in your mid career title is a responsibility without meaning? You don't lose credibility in a reset, you reposition it.
Hi, I'm Ishita Gupta, your podcast host, an HR professional, and a life evolution coach. I am back with an interview episode to break the monotony from the relationship series. You are listening to episode 45, From Stuck to Strategic, Mid Career Reset with Hemant on Let's Evolve. Our guest for today is Hemant Deshpande, an ICF PCC credentialed master coach and mentor with nearly 2 decades of leadership experience across IBM, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and Fortune 500 clients globally. Hemant successfully reinvented his career from IT leader to coaching pioneer. Hemant is the founder of HD Career Coaching and has helped hundreds of mid career professionals across 20 plus countries rediscover clarity, purpose, and direction. He is also the creator of the world's first and only career coach certification program. Isn't that amazing? Hello, Hemant, and welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Ishita. I'm very happy to be on your podcast. I have been hearing about your podcast and very excited to be here.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. So, shall we begin?
Absolutely.
Great. I think our listeners can't wait as well. So, my first question to you, Hemant, is when people hear mid career reset, what usually comes to your mind? Is it a crisis or an opportunity?
Hmm. That's a great question, Ishita, to start with. So, for many people, especially mid-career professionals who are in their 40s or 50s, for many of them, it may start as a crisis. Sometimes we hear these terms midlife crisis, midlife confusion, and if we look at it professionally, stagnation starts happening. And unfortunately, these days, because of AI revolution, a lot of layoffs are happening. All that is happening. So it may start as a crisis. However, it is actually a great opportunity to reinvent your career and not only career, life also. So I coined this term many years ago when I experienced this mid-career crisis, so to say. But then I realized that it was actually a mid-career or midlife wake-up call. So it's an opportunity if we look at it that way, that this is a new opportunity to look at your life and career in a new way, start something new, something that maybe people have been postponing. In my case, I worked in corporate, I worked in IT companies, as you mentioned in my introduction, with top IT companies for almost 20 years. And then after 20 years, I, actually started pursuing what my passion really was. So it started as a crisis or stagnation in my career, but actually it opened up a huge opportunity for me to start a new career and a new life.
Great. I think that's a brilliant answer, Hemant. And I'm sure our listeners are more excited to know what's in store next and they will get more clarity. Okay,
Sure.
so the
Thank you.
second, yes. So the second question that I have here for you is, at what point do most professionals realize that they're stuck? And what does that stuckness really feel like?
So, Ishita, I will start with my own journey and my own experience. And in the last 10 plus years, I have worked with thousands of professionals, coaching them, training them, mentoring them. And I will share a pattern that I saw also. But let me first begin with, sharing my own experience. When I was in my mid-career, with after 18 years of career and having grown into the, through the ladder and all that, handling large
Hmm.
responsibilities, large, IT transformation programs for global clients and all that. What I started realizing, Ishita, is that I was stuck from a point of view of nothing new was happening. I was handling large responsibility, but essentially my job had gotten monotonous. Handling large teams, operations, budgets, um, client, client escalations, uh,
Hmm.
all that. And, no new learning was happening. So it was stagnation and stuckness from that point of view. That is one. Secondly, in spite of handling huge responsibilities, promotions were slow. As we all know, all organizations are pyramid structured. So that stuckness also from a progression standpoint or promotion standpoint can also come in. So, in that way, I experienced it myself. And also some kind of a boredom and monotony started setting in. And, that is what I started feeling that I'm stuck here. Nothing new is happening. I'm working really hard. It's like, running on a treadmill 24 by 7, but not getting anywhere. So that kind of a feeling I got. And then I started my new career. And a similar kind of pattern I saw across, thousands of professionals that I coached, mentored, and trained, that many of them or most of them start feeling this kind of a situation, like same meetings, same targets. Sometimes recognition comes, but they start feeling little empty or little hollow from inside, and that's where this feeling of stuckness or feeling stuck starts getting more prominent.
Right. So the three words that I carry from here is uh, nothing new, stagnation, and not seeing any growth or progress. Right? Feeling that you are at the
Yes.
same point. Right. So I'm sure even in my office, I see that a lot of people face that, and they don't know what to do about it. So I'm sure that that is where professionals realize that they're stuck.
Yeah.
Great thought, Hemant.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. So again, connected to the same question again. When people feel stuck, so why do high performers often feel the stagnation that you just mentioned more intensely?
Yeah. I mean, high performers, they are they are looking for challenges. They have been very successful in their careers, and they feel this stagnation more intensely because they have done it, they have been there, they have been recognized. Maybe, they got promoted also to those senior positions, but now nothing new is happening. Now it is like same old is happening. Also, that the challenges that, new challenges that they want, those are no longer coming their way. No new learning that is coming their way. So it's like this, right? Execution is happening or implementation of projects is happening, but evolution is not happening.
Hmm.
And your podcast name is Let's Evolve, right?
Right.
So I can relate with that evolution because as human beings, we also want to evolve. We don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And, over time, then, that excellence that high performers bring in, it turns into repetition. It turns into boredom. And when that learning stops, I think, high performers get really, kind of disappointed first. And I remember, recent conversation with one of the top performers, a client of mine. He said that, I have been doing it for so many years, Hemant, and he's a senior leader in a, very, global IT company. So he said, I can do this, Hemant, even if somebody wakes me up in the middle of the night. But I'm not doing anything new even after 2 3 years, and nothing new is happening. So that's the danger zone. That's because not because they're failing, but because they have outgrown that role. So
Hmm.
it's often, in my view and in my experience, it is, um, they feel that internally that they have more potential. They are willing, or that hunger is there to learn new, but those opportunities are not coming their way. So that's why high performers feel that stagnation more intensely, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually does. Because if people who are performing high continuously, so they feel that stagnation, I think, more earlier than the others. And that's
Right.
where they feel it more intense. Amazing. Okay, so that gets me
Right.
to another question that I have for you. What's one skill mid-career professionals often underestimate, but they desperately need today?
Hmm. So, listening to your question, I could think of two, three things. But first one, which I realized myself, is the importance of self-awareness. I think that's the most underestimated uh, skill. Self-awareness about, um, what are my values, what are my strengths, what do I really want to do in my life and in my career, clarity around that. Uh, these things are very important. Also, identifying patterns, like what are the things that I enjoy the most, where do I want to contribute more, and also understanding the areas of improvement. So this all, I'm putting that under this umbrella called self-awareness. So in my experience, a lot of mid-career professionals, senior professionals, They're great at solving external problems.
Hmm.
They're good at solving technical problems. Good at solving business problems. They're good at solving strategic problems. But I realize that, and I experience that they rarely pause, or we rarely pause to examine, you know, where are we going? It's like, we are running, but running fast, but where are we going?
Right.
And I use this metaphor sometimes, Ishita, that, people are even climbing corporate ladders, but do they realize, or do they ask, or do they pause and see that the ladder that they're climbing, which wall it is leaning against?
Hmm.
Sometimes that kind of a reflection, that kind of a pause, that kind of introspection is required. And I think one skill or one thing that senior professionals can do that will, that can be very beneficial is the introspection that will lead to self-awareness. That's one. Second one is, um, creating leaders, creating. So when we become leaders, or when senior professionals they become leaders, um, I have seen this, that many of them forget to create new leaders in their teams. That's another thing. Um, I see that is missing, but that's very important. And inside of that context, I can also relate that to coaching and mentoring. That are leaders actually owning their coaching skills, mentoring skills, because that is where they can create the next level of leaders. So these are two things that come to mind immediately, Ishita.
Great. So I think two takeaways are introspection and coaching training or coaching leaders so that people understand how can they proceed ahead.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So do you have any example, Hemant, of anybody who has successfully reset their career midway?
Oh, so many examples, Ishita, so many examples of that. Um, Many leaders that I worked with, train them or coach them one to one or in group setting, group coaching. So there are many, many examples, but one example that comes to my mind who successfully reset their career midway. So I call that as career reinvention. I coached a senior banking leader who was working with a global bank, and when he approached me, he the first conversation I still remember. He was in Singapore at that point in time, and he
Hmm.
said that, Hemant, I want to reinvent my career. What I'm doing, I'm getting paid for it really well. The company is very, very well known. People recognize me, people respect me, but I'm not enjoying my work anymore. I have, I want to find out my strengths. I want to find out what will really give me excitement and joy every day in my work. So I want to find out what that work is and what that new role could be. And then we started working together in a coaching engagement. And in a few sessions, he discovered that he enjoyed working with his team, mentoring his team, coaching his team, guiding them. And that is where he got a lot of satisfaction and joy. And then he chose to be a coach himself. Another thing is that he was getting clarity through the coaching sessions that we had. And he said that this is so useful for me. And I can clearly see that, this is something that I do in my organization, but I do it in a non-structured way. I do it informally. It would be great if I can do this in a structured way, learn coaching skills, tools, frameworks, all of that. And I would love to do that. And he actually took that step. He actually took that step. He became a coach. He got himself trained as a coach. Initially, he started coaching his team members, and then he got some opportunities within his organization to be an internal coach. And then, in a couple of years, he quit his corporate career and he became a full-time coach. And he's a very highly successful coach now. And he has been practicing as an executive coach, leadership coach, for many years now. And he's making a difference to thousands of people. So that one example straight away, came to my mind. And many such examples are there in my community of coaches. But this is one example. This was the first one, who took that courageous step, and with preparation, with plan, with a thoughtful planning, he quit his corporate uh, job and created a highly successful coaching career in just a few years' time.
Wow, that is a very powerful example, Hemant, that you shared. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure all our listeners are going to benefit from this and understand that it is possible to reset your careers midway and not think about it twice, just like how he has done, and he took up coaching and he is coaching so many people now. So I think that's really inspiring. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sure.
Great. So that brings us to our last question, but not the least. It's a very important question that I'm sure our listeners are going to take advantage of. So, Hemant, if somebody feels stuck today, what is the first strategic step they should take this week?
Hmm. So, one of the first steps is to actually take a pause before they plan. And I go back 10, 11 years in my own career. Uh, I was working with a global IT company, and when I felt stuck and I decided to reinvent my career, and I decided to be a full-time coach and trainer. That time I first took 6 months sabbatical, and I took that pause to look at what I really wanted to do in life, what is important for me, and how do I look at my next innings, next career move, and also how do I want to design my life. So I took that pause. That helped me a lot develop clarity about what I wanted to do next. And that is something that has helped so many of my clients and students also to do that. And while that pause one takes, what do they do in that pause? That is a question I get asked many times. And okay, I will take a pause or I'll take a break, but what do I do in that pause? So one of the things that helped me a lot, and since then has helped many of my clients and who have reinvented their careers, is look at how your career journey has been so far. What did you enjoy the most? What made you successful? Where did you get your happiness and satisfaction from? Identifying that as a career pattern. Also identifying what are those things that you don't enjoy, what that stresses you out, what is it that drains you out. That is another pattern to identify. Then the next thing is that identifying values. What is really important for you at this point in time? What are those values? So for me, it was freedom, flexibility, work-life balance, learning, autonomy, and I was looking for purpose. In corporate, yes, I learned a lot of things, and I'm grateful to all the great companies that I worked with. I learned a lot. But at some
Mhm.
point in time, I couldn't find meaning and purpose in that work. So meaning and purpose became important. So that was another value. So when they look at their values, they realize that what's really important for me, and they can assess that in their current situation, are these values getting aligned or not. So that's the second step. And the third step is identifying your strengths. And strengths are different or distinct from skills. Skills is something that we are good at, but strengths is something that excites you, energizes you, motivates you, and that is something that comes from within. It's like the energy fountain that comes from within. So what are those things? So for me, it was learning, communication, conversations, um, guiding people, helping others, be in a group setup, these kind of things that excited me a lot. So identifying, I think these three key points is very, very useful in terms of developing that clarity that, what one wants to do next. And exactly that is the same process that I used when I reinvented my career. And since then, so many hundreds of clients, students have worked through that process, and they found they got absolute clarity about that. So when someone feels stuck today, I think these are first one, two, three steps that they can take, and that will give them clarity and to how to plan their next innings or the next step.
Amazing. That I think this is really, really important, what you've just mentioned. And just to summarize, you've mentioned about identifying values, identifying strengths, identifying your skills, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, and take a pause. So everybody knows that, yes, we have to take a pause, but still taking that pause is not easy. And even after that, they get stuck. So you have also answered what can they do once they take that pause. So I'm sure this will benefit them. Thank you for sharing that, Hemant.
Sure. And Ishita, I just wanted to add one more thing, that when people feel stuck, uh, many of them are afraid of trying something new. So if if they want to create something new, they have to also step out of the comfort zone. Because having worked in corporate, that comfort zone gets created,
Hmm.
and they get used to it. So even though it is not, they're not happy or feeling stuck or stagnated, nothing new is happening, but still that comfort zone, you know, uh, is something that many people don't want to leave that.
Hmm.
So they have to make a choice that if they want to create something new and reinvent their career, then they have to take that little step to move out of that comfort zone a little bit and see what different things that they can do. And these three steps, which I said, looking at your career journey, skills, values, and strengths, maybe can give them a new direction. But for that, that courage to step out of the comfort zone is very much required.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. And this is a very important, in fact, it's a magic tip that you've given, that stepping out of your comfort zone. And that is a very good strategic step that anybody can take if they are stuck or if they're feeling stuck, along with the things that you've already mentioned. So, thank you so much, Hemant, for an insightful interview today. I'm sure all the listeners have gained a lot of information and it'll benefit them. So, let me share
Thank
my
you, Ishita. Yeah, so I just wanted to thank you, Ishita, for this wonderful conversation. Yeah,
thank you so much, Hemant. That was wonderful. I think uh, I should have called you earlier, but never, we say that it's never too late. So, thank you for
yeah,
coming now on my 45th episode and hoping to see you again sometime in the future.
sure, Ishita. And this is great. This is 45th episode. This is amazing. So all the best to you and looking forward to coming to your podcast again. And you will be reaching 50 very soon. So, all the best for that.
Thank you so much, Hemant. So, for all the listeners, I would really like to thank Hemant, and please do take his tips and tricks, whatever he has given for the mid career reset. I'm sure it will benefit you. Even if you listen to any of the questions and any of the tips, it will benefit you, or it can benefit your friends or colleagues. So do share with everybody. And before that, let me share my quote for the episode today, and it resonates with what Hemant just mentioned. Resetting your career is an act of courage, not confusion. So stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. Experience gives you the permission to choose better. If you feel connected with me and it gives you a positive feeling, do reach out to me for a coaching session by booking my time on the link mentioned in the description. I support middle aged individuals reach greater heights by evolving and turning their life around. Do share it within your circles. Do like, share, download, and subscribe to my channel. Let's evolve. Have a wonderful day ahead.